Wellington, home to the 2024 Absa Cape Epic's third race village and second overnight campsite, is a gem of the Cape Winelands. The Lemieteberg Mountains to the east provide the terroir for exceptional trails, but also for world-class wine farms and vineyard rootstocks. In the town itself, old sandstone and Cape Dutch buildings showcase Wellington's 180-year history. The region was known as the Lemieter Valley, as it was the edge of the Dutch's Cape Colony, or the Wagenmakers Valley, for the wagon makers, who based themselves here before it was founded as a municipality. Once it was, the town was named after Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of Wellington. Perhaps Wellesley's innovative defensive tactics would inspire teams taking on the Queen stage, though others would need to adopt more attacking tactics to make up for the previous day's losses. The primary losers on Stage 3 had been the World Bicycle Relief Team. The day had begun benignly enough, and the top three general classification teams had even managed to establish an early break before being reeled in by a large group of teams. On the Klekieskraal descent, Sebastian Finney suffered a mechanical. The Dane's chain guide was seemingly broken by a rogue rock, and thereafter he and Nino Schurter had to stop repeatedly to reseat the chain. This put them out of the lead group, which charged ahead with Matt Beers and then the Canyon City team driving the pace. After summiting Bainskloof Pass, Andreas Seewald and Mark Stutzman attacked, distancing Beers, Howard Grotz, Lucas Baum, Georg Egger, Hans Becking and Wout Allemann. The German-Swiss combination charged through the wild boar trails to the finish line, turning their misfortune from stages 1 and 2 into a race-defining victory. Toyota Specialized 91, or Beatleat Speed Company, and Buff Megamo battled it out for second, while World Bicycle Relief lost 3 minutes to their general classification rivals.
So yeah, it's super nice to win a stage here. Always it's something super special. I'm not really sure what was it, but maybe the dynamics of this stage was suited more for me, and so I had the power to attack towards the end, and yeah, well, super happy.
After the only transition stage of the race, Buff Megamo's lead was extended to 1 minute and 47 seconds, with Toyota Specialized 91 moving up into second. Schurter and Finney's time losses saw them slip to third at 3:47. In the Aramex women's race, a steady start gave way to fast-paced climbing through the Waterval Nature Reserve. Vera Losse and Alexis Skada were the final team to be distanced by the now well-established leading trio of squads. Once again, the UCI race was dictated by Ghost Factory Racing, Cannondale Factory Racing and Toyota Specialized 91. Anna Terpstra, Nicole Kohler, Candice Lill, Mona Mitterwallner, Sophia Gomez and Samara Shepherd were inseparable over Bainskloof Pass. Only on the full Monty descent did Terpstra and Kohler ghost off the front. They then time-trialled to the finish, holding off the chasers behind. This saw them double their general classification advantage over Lill and Mitterwallner, who won the sprint for second.
And here they come. And over the finish line.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to do our first Cape Epic and starting like this, riding in orange. And yeah, I think there are another few days coming up, and tomorrow will be the Queen stage, and yeah, it's always hard, and I think we will just see how we feel each day, and hopefully have a nice time on the bike.
Heading into stage 4, Terpstra and Kohler led Cannondale Factory Racing by 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Gomez, Viafan and Shepherd were a further 5.5 minutes back. The Queen stage had been scheduled to be 88 kilometres long, but for the safety of the amateurs, with another searingly hot day predicted, stage 4 was shortened to 73 kilometres. The final 3 climbs remained ferocious, however, as Haverqua, Seven Peaks and the Cliffhanger helped contribute to the 2,550 metres of accumulated ascent on the rejigged route. Feelings were mixed among the leading men, though they recognised the danger the conditions and the course presented to the amateurs behind them.
Today's stage should be the Queen stage, but not only by numbers, but just from the terrain, but also by the heat today. We're expecting a big heat wave coming through the valley here today. So it's going to be a tough one from the elements and also from the track itself.
Obviously, there's been a slight route change due to heat, which I don't know if I agree on, because it's the epic. It's meant to be hard, but but there's a lot of other people racing, so yeah, it's still, regardless, it's going to be a hard day, and I think there's going to be some decent time splits today.
Well, we're just going for fun and flow today. I think we need to be super flowy on the trails, and we just have to keep it fun like we did the last 4 days. And I think the pressure will be on today from the other teams. They have to catch up some time, and we're just gonna try to hold the wheels and see the opportunities like we do all week.
Heading off the start line, the UCI men set out with the ferocity of a cross-country race rather than a 3.5-hour mountain bike marathon day. The shortened route meant fewer opportunities to make up time and move up the leaderboard, so the rationale was one of all-out attack. Only the very brave and those willing to take risks would be rewarded on the Queen's stage. Ahead of their start, the queens of the Absa Cape Epic were concerned about the heat and were happy to talk about their racing tactics.
Yeah, it's going to be really hot out there, so yeah, we'll have to stay hydrated. Obviously, will be important. I think the terrain will be spectacular, like it has been every other stage, and yeah, just looking forward to getting into it.
So we've done 4 days under the belt, including a prologue. Obviously, they've been really fierce racing and hot, and everything that the Cape Epic throws at you, we've had. So yeah, I think today is going to be definitely a decider. I think Mona's feeling better and better day by day. We just need to get a few things right along the way, and yeah, if we play our cards right, I think we can hurt the Ghost Girls today.
I think they will be trying and push every single day. They did until now, and until now we could always come with them. So I don't expect today to be any different. They will for sure try, and we will for sure try to keep up.
Fighting talk from the leading women set the scene for a day of close racing. With climbing from soon after the start, the few hundred metres on the start-finish straight were some of the only flat metres on the route. There was no time to appreciate that, however, as the fight for positions into the climbs would be nearly as important as the ascents themselves. Even on the briefest of flat roads leaving Wellington, the UCI men were on the charge, riding like they were eager to get climbing. And soon they would be too, heading uphill into the foothills of the Havokar range of the Lemmitberg Mountains. Baf Megamo and Matt Beers were the first to seize the initiative, the men in yellow controlling from the front by setting a pace which was fast enough to stretch the field, but not too fast to hurt their own ailing legs. The tempo was not enough to stop the resurgent Seerwald from going on the attack, however. The Germans' speed splintered the already slimmed lead group to just the main favourites, World Bicycle Relief Toyota Specialized 91, Baf Megamo, and his teammate Stutzman. From the second climb of the stage, it was clear that Alleman was struggling, hanging dangerously off the back of the group as they flew uphill. Orbea Liet Speed Company missed the split and were forced to chase with Singer Racing. A brief lull in Seerwald's charge allowed Baf Megamo to fight their way back up to the front group. Though the climbing hardly eased up, the drop in pace provided momentary respite. This allowed the groups behind them to gain on them and almost close the gap completely, though their proximity only served to inspire Canyon City to punch again. There were still massive climbs to come, and with the sun rising higher and higher into the African summer sky, the heat was climbing along with the ascending riders. The extreme heat was playing its part along with the nearly 35 metres of climbing per kilometre on the stage. The brutal gradients and relentless climbs were suiting the mountain goats. Seerwald and Stutzman continued to lead, stringing Schurter, Finney, Grotz and Beers out behind them. Canyon City were looking for a second successive stage win. Baf Megamo had vastly different goals. They were riding to conserve their general classification lead. Having started the day with a 1 minute and 47 second advantage, They were being informed on the course that they had already conceded 90 seconds to the group ahead. The dry and dusty conditions in the trails made following wheels a tricky business, which in turn slowed the collective speed of the leaders when the trails pointed downhill. Even Schurter was forced to be circumspect, while behind, Baum and Egger were now alone and able to take more risks in the single tracks, as they were able to see obstacles more clearly. In their attempt to make up time, Allemann and Becking were descending with complete abandon, which in turn caused the Buff Megamo team to puncture in the Brooklyn Bridge descent. The quick stop to repair the issue didn't cost them too much time, but it did break the momentum of their chase. Further back, Paga Eurosteel were having a clean and fast ride through the trails, extending their Absa African jersey advantage on the day and overall. In the Aramex women's race, the asphalt introduction to the stage allowed for a moment to look through the other teams in the competition. Along with the leaders and their rivals for victory, there was the Absa African jersey battle. Danielle Stradom and Steph Walters of Efficient Infinity Insure led the sub-competition going into the day, but Sarah Hill and Hayley Smith had worn the jerseys earlier in the week. Concerningly for Efficient Infinity SCB SRAM, they missed the first split. Up front, Cannondale Factory Racing led Ghost Factory Racing, Toyota Specialized 91 and Scott Calabandida Bulls. Just behind, Lena Giraud and Hayley Preen fought to bridge back across with Lossa and Skada. Despite their efforts, the chasers never caught the lead group, who streaked away up the climbs. Natalia Fischer and Irina Luttelschwab clung on to the leading trio of teams for as long as they could, and eventually they dropped, and once again the women in the general classification podium places rode away from all their rivals. She Untamed, Cruise Control and the Elements team were all locked in their private battles, climbing and descending as fast as they could. Ghost Factory Racing, Cannondale Factory Racing and Toyota Specialized 91 all tried their hands at attacks. At times the group was stretched to the verge of breaking. Mitterwallner, Shepard and Gomez Viefan all endured times dangling off the back. The pack came back together again and again, brought back by strength of will as much as by the strength of their legs. Defending champion Lossa and Skada were shipping time behind, enduring a difficult day. Dropping towards the base of Bainscourt Pass, the leaders passed through Waterpoint 2 together, though there would be a concern for Kohler, who missed a bottle in the feed zone ahead of the 16-kilometre long climb.
You know, we've still got the Toyota Tap sections, which I'm really looking forward to, and of course Cliffhanger. I mean, it's infamous.
Built on the Knetsfontein farm, which is owned by the Falk family, the Cliffhanger is unquestionably the most spectacular trail in South Africa and will be the highlight of the 2024 Absa Cape Epic.
So I've only ridden it once, but it's amazing. Amazing, amazing. I love the climb up is nice, but the downhill is something really special.
Having started the 16-kilometre final climb, which began with arduous and ended with Cliffhanger, the teams cranked up the 9% average gradients and soon the group was stretched again. Having led for much of the stage, Seerwold began to struggle and was yo-yoed off the back. With Schurter on the front, the pressure was relentless. The Swiss star was waiting for no man, and his World Bicycle Relief partner required no pause. Finney held his teammate's wheel with Grotz right behind him. Stutzman slipped back towards Seerwold and even Beers felt the heat. When the gradients evened out, on the traverse towards the final kick, the Canyon City team were able to power back to the leaders. The speed increased and the group rounded a bend to reveal the scale of the Toyota Tough, the Cliffhanger. The sweeping switchbacks scaling the mountainside are an awe-inspiring sight. Schurter led the group of 6 up the final kick of the day without a pause to take in the spectacular views or appreciate the feat of engineering which is required to build the trail. Cannondale's masterpiece is, however, only open to ride by booking on the farm's website. If the climb is breathtaking, the descent is beyond description. Tight and technical at the top, the Cliffhanger takes real skill to ride, and even the very best riders in the world took the descent relatively easy. The sharp S-bends demanding absolute focus. Further down, where the trail opened to a gently sloping bench cut, Canyon City and Co could release their brakes, flying towards the tree line. Long minutes after the leaders had made their descent, Buff Megamo began their drop back to Wellington, with Robert Leert Speed Company in tow, just behind. Schurter and Finney descended fastest, opening a small gap on Beers and Grotz, while Seewald and Stutzman were still further off. The Toyota Specialized 91 combination managed to catch World Bicycle Relief. This set the stage up for a sprint finish. Schurter, Finney, Beers and Grotz drove to the line like racehorses in the derby. Despite a final lunge, the South African came up short. Canyon City's finish for third was a more sedate affair, while Bauermanega wrung every possible second out of their final 100 metres. An elated Climatiza Totimi Kabati team completed their best showing of the week to finish the Queen stage in 5th. Becking and Alleman made a moment for a show of solidarity after ceding their yellow jerseys.
Yeah, it's really nice to win the Queen stage, and just to win a stage here in the Cape Epic is special. I mean, we got the first one on the prologue, and then we had 3 hard days, I must say. We suffered mechanicals, but today we had no issues. We went through the plan, and we made it to the finish, and we are obviously really happy.
You don't come here to race for second place. That was one of the most intense days of racing I think we've had so far, just because it was short and punchy, and the descents were really fast. But it was a fun day of racing, even though there was some suffering.
So I suffered right from the beginning on the first climb, and I told Hans that it would be a better idea to do our own pace, and then we did our own pace. And I think in the beginning, like the first half of the race, we didn't lose so much time. It was always around 1.5 minutes, I think. Then I started to feel better, but then Hans started to suffer, so we had both not our best day, but yeah, I mean, we had 2 days in yellow, and for us it was already a good week, so we knew that it would be difficult, but still, we lost the battle, but not the war. It's still 3 days to go, and everything can happen.
The day's winners, Schurter and Finney, stood atop the podium for the first time since the prologue. They were joined by Beers and Grotz, as well as by the Canyon City combination of Seewald and Stutzman. Behind the leading teams, Roberto Beaumartin and Miguel Munoz Moreno of Climatiza Totimi Kabarti had their best day of the race, finishing 5th. Becking and Alleman conceded 6 minutes and 50 seconds by the end of the day. Despite not having won a stage themselves, Toyota's Specialized 91 stepped up to claim the yellow Chiavita jerseys after the Queen stage. After 5 days of racing, Beers and Grotz lead by 2 minutes from Schurter and Finney. Becking and Alleman are third at 5:03. The best of the Absa African jersey teams are the Paiga Eurosteel squad of Philip Bass and Peter de Toy. In the Aramex women's race, the final climb was a great opportunity for the strongest of the 3 teams to make a difference and distance their rivals. The early slopes through the pine forest and up the 21 hairpins of arduous served to soften the weaker climbers in the group, yet nobody caved. A quick gel through gritted teeth, and the UCI women were ready for the final assault on the Limitberg. Gomez Viefan was the last to pass through the Cannetsfontein banners and begin the Toyota Tough Cliffhanger descent. But she had her rivals in sight. Sweeping down the precipitous drop, the Ghost Factory Racing-led train flowed gracefully towards the valley floor far below. With each passing bend, the trail opens slightly, allowing for increasing speed across the incredible single track. The tree line signalled the end of the most technical stretch and an opportunity to really pick up speed. The Kohler-led group had been caught early in the descent by the NTT Data Masters leaders Carl Platt and Tommy Misser. But the legends of the Epic Series respected the UCI women's racing and did not force their way past until the 10-kilometre long single track concluded with a dual track climb. Weary of being caught out by Ghost Factory Racing's kick, the leaders' adversaries shadowed them through the final 5 kilometres. This meant that the day came down to a 3-up sprint. Yet once again, Terpstra and Kohler had both the power and the tactical acumen to outpunch and outthink Cannondale Factory Racing and Toyota Specialized 91.
Not really. I was prepared for more attacks, to be honest. I think both Specialized and Cannondale wanted to make the pace high from the beginning. But it turned out that actually Nicole and I were the fastest there, so it was nice to know like they can try, but we're still there, we're hanging on. But still, like you have to climb up all these climbs. Doesn't matter if you go fast or slow, you have to get up there, and that's already not that easy. So I think it was still a tough day for everybody, but it was nice that we had the most energy left for a sprint finish again.
Well, I mean, it's the Queen stage, so for sure, even if it's a shortened Queen stage, it's still very important. You know, we are now approaching the second half of the Cape Epic, and you know, from here on, it you know, every minute or every second counts for the overall. So yeah, for sure, today was very important. I think just everyone was very well prepared for today's stage, so we were not the only one like targeting it. And yeah, I mean, it was very close racing. I mean, I think everyone dig deep because as soon as one team went back, another team went to the front and pushed. So I really think that was one of the hardest races I have done. And I mean, it's crazy the level. Like it's very cool racing. I mean, you know, you can't hide. There's no place to hide. So yeah, it was a hard battle out there.
Even with a shorter distance, it was still really tough out there. But yeah, we managed to. The pace was pretty much on from the go all the way to the finish. Sophia, I made a tactical error in the first feed zone, and that suffered us a little bit. But yeah, Sophia showed her strength and trusted her on the descent. There was always sometimes a little bit of a gap at the top of the climb, but I knew she was such a strong descender and such a strong fighter that she managed to close that every time. And then yeah, we're super happy to come in, finish with the top 2 teams. I think we were feeling pretty good otherwise, and yeah, it was a good day, good tough stage for us.
For the 5th day in a row, Terpstra and Kohler stepped up onto the centre of the podium. Flanked by Gomez, Villafan and Shepherd, as well as by Lille and Mitterwallner. The sprint victory earned Ghost Factory Racing an additional 2 seconds advantage over Cannondale Factory Racing and Toyota Specialized 91. As a result, Terpstra and Kohler earned their 5th Aramex Orange Chivita jerseys of the race. Heading into Stage 5, Ghost Factory Racing are ahead by 2 minutes and 31 seconds. There were changes lower down in the general classification as E-Fort Private Client Holdings moved ahead of Efficient Infinity Insure SCB Schramm, while Steph Voltis and Danielle Stradum firmed up their grip on the Absa African jerseys. Stage 5 is the shorter stage of the 2024 race in order to make time for the bus transfer to Stellenbosch. The 70-kilometre route includes 1,750 metres of climbing and boasts some of the more rugged trails in the Wellington area. Roller coaster may be smooth, but later in the Velvenpass Valley, Happy Hog and True Grit are rocky tests. The day's Toyota Tough segment is the deceptively tricky Golden Mile.